California Cooking. Today, it's all about our favorite fall ingredient, pumpkin. From waffles to pasta, dessert, and more, I can't wait to share these dishes with you. Let's start with breakfast. Sunday morning and pumpkin spice waffles sounds like the perfect Sunday to me. My friend Chef Julia from America's Test Kitchen shows us how. Hi, how are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Now this kitchen's different than the last time.
It is. This is the kitchen of my dear friend, Greer. We went to culinary school together. We were roommates. She lives down the street from me and she helps me with all my filming. And I'm squatting in her kitchen today because mine's under construction.
How's America's Test Kitchen been?
It's great. We're back in the building. We filmed America's Test Kitchen with 2 people on set with, strict COVID rules. Everyone was healthy, and that went really well. It was so nice to be back in person.
Awesome.
And I have a new show coming out.
Okay, tell me.
It's called Julia at Home, and it's on Pluto. And it's me cooking in my kitchen, and I'm making dinner. So I'm making the whole meal and showing, kind of going back and forth between recipes, and it's super fun.
This book, and I don't know about you, Julia, my 2 favorite seasons, autumn and winter, in one really great book.
Mm-hmm. It's squash season and pumpkin season.
Yeah.
And we're gonna make pumpkin waffles, which, have you ever had a pumpkin spice waffle?
Now, I've had pumpkin pancakes. I don't know that I've ever had the pumpkin waffle.
Ah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. When I'm looking through the book, the thing about fall and winter is that is when you want to get cozy.
Yep.
This is the kind of food that it's like holidays are talking. You've got all these crowd pleasers in this book.
You want some cozier food. Right. All the Thanksgiving is well represented in this book.
Okay, my waffle maker just made the timer just went off, so it's nice and it's heated up. And nothing's better, I think, on the weekend than when you wake up, you get the house smelling like pumpkin spice.
Yes, totally. The first ingredient in these pumpkin waffles is kind of unusual. It's oat flour. Do you use a lot of oat flour? Look at you.
So I've never used oat flour. And because I don't follow recipes, Julia, like I should, when I read your recipe, I missed the oat flour. But what's great is in the book, you say how you can make oat flour in a pinch. So I just put the oats in the blender.
Yep. This is 2.5 cups of oat flour. And now we just have a 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour.
Okay.
Baking powder.
Yeah.
There's both leaveners, baking powder and baking soda. So for baking powder, it's a teaspoon.
Okay.
For baking soda, it's half a teaspoon. Then we have a teaspoon of ground cinnamon.
Okay.
3/4 of a teaspoon salt.
Okay.
All right, last but not least, we have some ground nutmeg and ground cardamom. Do you use a lot of cardamom? It's one of my all-time favorites.
So, I have cardamom, and I'd say only about 1/4 of the bottle is used, because I don't think I really know what to do with it.
It just start adding it to things. Soups, it tastes great with braised meats, obviously in curry. Anything you use coconut milk with, if you make coconut rice pudding, coconut flan, coconut panna cotta. All right, so that's all those dry ingredients. But let's set that aside.
Okay.
So this is now the weird part of this recipe. But it's also the awesome part.
Okay, things are getting weird. Okay.
Things are getting weird. And when you see this in a recipe, you think, what the heck is that? Cookie sheet, and I've lined it with several layers of paper toweling. Yeah, like about 3 layers. And whenever we use canned pumpkin, we pretty much treat it like this because there's so much liquid in it. And that can really sog out and make a bread really dense, or pancakes or waffles really soggy. So we're gonna kind of spread out the canned pumpkin right onto the paper towels.
Julia, this is rocking my world right here. I've never done this.
It's so weird, right? You're like, is this really gonna work? The pumpkin, just spread it out and kind of keep it in a nice rectangle. And we'll just wait till you see how wet these paper towels are. Then you take some more paper towels and you just press them on top, lightly press. Another kind of triple layer. You can see like all this liquid is really just coming through.
Look at that.
All right, so now you peel off the top layer. You can see the pumpkin doesn't stick to it at all. It just peels right off.
Yeah, I would think it would absolutely become a mess, but no.
No, it's kind of a magic trick.
Look at that.
And now this is kind of the fun part.
Okay.
You take up the paper towels and you fold it over.
Okay.
And you just make it easier to transfer. And you see, I've kind of folded it up into this very small thing, and I'm just gonna plop it into a bowl. In goes yogurt. Cup and a quarter plain yogurt, a quarter cup of sugar, quarter cup of vegetable oil, some fresh ginger, this is a teaspoon of grated fresh ginger. All right, 2 eggs, 2 large eggs. Whisking this all together. Then you just put the wet into the dry. My waffle iron's been heating up over here. You can obviously use vegetable oil and brush it in. That's what our recipes say. But I like the convenience of oil in a can. You know, add the batter to your waffle maker. Of course, it kind of different waffle makers take different amount of batter. I made a batch of waffles just before we came on, so I have them.
Oh, great!
As I said, I like to make big batches because they freeze like a dream. And the other thing is, this is how you, if you're making one waffle at a time, put them on a rack, keep them warm in the oven, keeps them nice and crisp, and then, you know, you can serve everybody at the same time.
I love that. Those are gorgeous. Julia, this is now added to the fall repertoire. Pumpkin spice waffles.
Oh, I love it.
Love you. Thank you, Julia. Great to see you.
Good to see you. Say hi to California for me.
I will. Hope you come out here soon.
Me too.
Bye. Julia, those waffles were so cozy, the perfect thing to wake up to on the weekend. Coming up, I'm making pumpkin whoopie pies with cream cheese frosting. Then, if you have a little pumpkin puree left over, how about a homemade pumpkin spice latte? But first, from the sweet to the savory, I'm going to show you the key ingredients to my pumpkin penne. Here's a pumpkin penne recipe that looks fancy, but you can get it on the dinner table in less than 30 minutes. Today, it is all about pumpkin, one of my favorite ingredients because it represents the best time of year, fall. Most obviously recipes are sweet. This is a savory one using pumpkin. And it kind of combines all of those things that are cozy and warm and, you know, just makes you feel good when you eat them, which is pasta, pumpkin, a little bit of bacon, because why not? So I think this is a dish that's gonna come together pretty quickly. Chopping up some onion over here, which is always the base, I think, of a good pasta dish when you got some finely chopped onion. So over there in my pan, I've got the bacon cooking up, about 4 slices. Get it nice and browned, and then we're gonna take the bacon out and use kind of the bacon fat to cook the onion. So it's gonna smell really good in here. And we're gonna get some pumpkin penne happening. We've got our bacon out of the pan, nice and crispy, so I'm gonna reserve that. But in this pot, I've got the bacon grease and then about a quarter to a half of an onion, depending on how big your onion is. Some salt. And then obviously, what flavors these onions is that delicious bacon grease. And we'll let those go. Our penne is cooked, so I'm just gonna leave it here in the strainer. While our onions are cooking, some butter in a pan. And what I wanna do is do a little bit of brown butter. I think one thing that really makes you think of fall and goes so well with pumpkin is sage. So I have these beautiful sage leaves, and I'm gonna just toast them in the brown butter, and that'll go on top of our pumpkin penne. And you're just gonna watch as the butter gently cooks. It starts to get these little solidified bits of brown. But before we do our pumpkin puree, I wanna put some garlic in with our onion. 1 big clove, 2 small ones, or more if you love garlic. Okay, stir that around, soften that a little bit. Okay, now our pumpkin puree. I'm gonna do a half a can. Okay, butter off. So brown butter is done. And our sage leaves are toasted. a little bit of chicken stock to create a sauce. I'm gonna just stir that around, bring it up to a boil. There we go, nice. To our pumpkin and our chicken stock, a heavy pinch of salt. A secret ingredient, so I'm gonna turn it down from boiling just to a light simmer, some mascarpone, or mascarpone. I've heard it both ways, but it's an Italian soft kind of cream cheese. It's not as tangy as like a Philadelphia cream cheese that we would know, but it provides this luxurious, creamy element to our sauce. So I'm gonna whisk that in, and then it just gets this beautiful color when it mixes with the pumpkin. All right, now you wanna give it a taste. You just let it simmer for a little bit. Hot. Yum, that is good. Some pepper, okay. Just a pinch of nutmeg to kind of bring out those pumpkin-y flavors. One little thing I'm gonna add, just as we're about to finish, some fresh baby spinach. And I'm just gonna tear it up in the pot, and it will melt down and just add a little bit of that green, but also a way to add some vegetable to our pasta. Okay. To finish off our pumpkin penne. So to finish it, I'm gonna crumble up my crisp bacon on top. I did, I think, 4 slices, and maybe nibbled on one of those to give it the crunch and obviously the flavor. And then these beautiful crisped sage leaves that were in brown butter. So you want to crumble those on top as well. I think a little drizzle of the brown butter right on top. Then some Parmesan, good real Parmesan cheese. There it is, pumpkin penne with bacon, Parmesan, and a little bit of brown butter. I'm gonna get a little bit of everything. Fall on a plate. So good. The pumpkin with the mascarpone, the sage, and the bacon, those fall flavors make that dish. To get the complete recipe, you can follow us on Instagram. Now to a fun dessert if you're pumpkin obsessed. Once October hits, it is all about pumpkin for me, and I'm gonna make something with pumpkin puree. And you know how every fall and this time of year you always try to think of different ways to use pumpkin? I have never made a pumpkin whoopie pie. Not that I even have ever had a whoopie pie, but I've seen them at bakeries. Usually they're chocolate, and there's something so, I think, childlike about a whoopie pie. You just basically make kind of mini cakes, and then you put the cream cheese frosting in the middle and sandwich them. So to start, we'll go with our dry ingredients. Good old flour, so we have about 1.5 cups of flour. So here's a cup. And because we're baking, I'm going to measure accurately. There's a half teaspoon of salt. Okay. And then 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda and baking powder. So pumpkin pie spice, which we all have in the back of the cupboard somewhere. A tablespoon, because we really want it to have the pumpkin pie vibes. Okay, so this is our dry ingredients, and we're just gonna set that aside. Onto the wet. In here is where we do the wet ingredients, and technically sugar is considered a wet ingredient because it becomes kind of liquidy when it melts. So pumpkin puree is gonna be 1.5 cups, and this is 1 can. So I'm gonna see how much is in here. I have a feeling 1 can is just about 1.5 cups. Yeah, 1 can is the perfect amount. There we go. And I popped this in the fridge to chill the pumpkin. Pumpkin in. To our pumpkin, we have to sweeten it up. So 1/2 cup of white granulated sugar. and a half a cup of brown sugar, packed, half teaspoon of vanilla, and vegetable oil. I don't have any vegetable oil on me, but what I do have is some coconut oil, and that'll work just fine. So a half a cup of vegetable oil, coconut oil, whatever you have on hand, going in. Okay, wet ingredients are done. I'm gonna hit mix, and then we'll add our dry ingredients to that. Okay. So to that, I'm gonna turn it down, and then I'm gonna add the dry. All right, let's check our batter. This smells really good. I've got my ice cream scoop. So I think it depends how big you want your whoopie pies, but the goal is to have each side be uniform, be the same. Okay, the oven on 350, and they don't take long. Let's get them in. 10 minutes. So while our whoopie pies are in the oven, I cleaned out the bowl here, and I'm gonna put my whisk attachment, and I'm gonna make the icing that's gonna go in between. Cream cheese, softened up, cream cheese going in. So let's do a teaspoon of vanilla. I also have some really good maple syrup, maybe 2 tablespoons, and now some powdered sugar. I'm gonna start slow. So I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons and just see where we're at. Okay, did we get the right combo? Let's see. Okay, icing's done. Now we just wait for our whoopie pies. I had a feeling that my whoopie pies might be too big. So if you're gonna make these, do a smaller scoop, or you could just do big whoopie pies, which I'm not mad at. I'm just gonna taste one, just the pie part. Moist, pumpkin-y, not too sweet, really good. These cooled in the fridge or overnight or in the freezer if you have to. You don't want to put the icing on a hot whoopie pie. This icing too is so, cream cheese icing. Okay, you take, this is why we used a scoop, because you want the sizes to be the same. And there's a whoopie pie. Look at that, should I take a bite? Of course. Oh my gosh. You guys have to try these pumpkin whoopie pies, and the cream cheese icing stole my heart. Coming up, whipping up a homemade pumpkin spice latte is easier than you think. Then a quick update on our home reno project. That's coming up next. You know it's fall when Starbucks comes out with their pumpkin spice latte. So check out how I make my homemade version of this popular coffee drink. Who doesn't love a pumpkin spice latte? I actually don't go to Starbucks to get the pumpkin spice latte, but I do love anything pumpkin. So I decided, because I'm a homebrew girl, I'm gonna make a pumpkin spice latte at home. How hard can it be? I don't know. So I'm gonna start with some fresh brewed, strong. Go strong, because you're gonna add other things to it. I had a little leftover pumpkin puree, so that's going into my blender. Whole milk, some sugar. I'm not gonna go crazy with the sugar. You could do agave or whatever you like. Some pumpkin pie spice. I think this is kind of a experiment. We'll have to taste and see how we do. And some of my vanilla extract that I made. Let's hit the blend. And it's like I'm a barista right here. Okay. Okay, the color looks pretty. It's good, you guys. That is so nice on a chilly day in the afternoon. A little pumpkin spice latte. Cheers. It's so easy to make and so good. Well, you guys know construction well underway over here, and for me, the fun part of home renovation is designing the kitchen. Here's where we're at in the pantry. Okay, the pantry is coming along. We've got some of the cabinetry installed, but obviously no doors yet. And so the big question is now, what color are the cabinets gonna be? And for some reason, I was feeling like a dark green, even though I have this aversion to color. I basically got a few different versions of green here. Of course, it has to have a beige in the mix. And then I picked up a few other, everything varies like so little, but makes such a difference. So I don't know, but we did pick out our countertop for in here. Now I gotta pick a paint, so we'll see what we decide. It's coming along. Well, that does it for us. Thank you guys for joining, and we'll see you next week. It's close.
Your measuring is so accurate. I love it.
This looks like about a quarter. Julia.
This is really you cooking at home. I kind of love it.
Oh my gosh. Okay.